Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the series of the lecture, we will be completing the entire syllabus of Class 8 Science. In this video, we will be covering Chapter 1, which is Crop Production and Management. We are covering this chapter into two videos. In the first video, we will cover the entire topics of Chapter 1 based on NCERT Science textbook. And in the next video, we shall deal with the nitrogen cycle and important MCQ questions. So let us start. So why should we study this chapter? Crop production and management. Let us discuss. The question are struck in the mind while making this video. Okay, why do we need to learn crop production and management in the first place? What is crop? Why do we need crops to cultivate? How can we provide large number of crops to the people? So these all are the common questions. Okay. So for this we require proper management. Let us try to understand few numbers before we try to understand the chapter itself. Now we are gonna look in some numbers. Okay. So the numbers are 7.7 billion, 1.37 billion, 11 and at the last 159.7 million. So now can you guess what these numbers is represents? So you can pause and ponder upon these numbers and write the comment. If you guess the numbers, write the comment in the chat box. So now we are going to discuss each of the number in detail. So the first number is represent the world's population, which is 7.7 billion. Let us try to look at the second number, that is 1.37 billion. It represents India's population. Okay, let us look at the third number, which is very small, 11%, and it is a percentage of the world's cultivated land. Okay, and let us look at the last number, which is 159.7 million hectares. So it means this much land is for the cultivation, okay, in India. So 159.7 million hectares of India's land is under cultivation. So it is basically one of the world's second largest country which have such a huge amount of their land under cultivation. Alright, so now this data basically shows very basic link, right? Okay, all right. So these are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the world require food to eat. As you know that the food, clothes and shelter are the basic requirement of the human beings. So now there are so many peoples and all of us require food for the energy needs. We can't just rely on nature to provide food for us, right? If we'll sit like that and we just rely upon the nature will give the food and we will eat. No, we cannot get the sufficient food from the nature itself. So we need to do the efforts. So that is why we need to do the cultivation. So let us understand some basic terms about the chapter before we discuss in detail. Alright, so we understood why do we need to understand this chapter at the first place? Why do we need to know all the steps which is necessary for the cultivation of the crops? So because there are a lot of people, all of them need food and we have to cultivate the food for them. Okay, we need to provide food for them, especially to cater to the needs of so many peoples. There is a very high demand. Alright, so let us try to clarify some basic terminology before we proceed to the lesson. Okay, alright, the first terminology that I have been saying again and again is agriculture. So we are going to understand what is agriculture means. So, the cultivating soil for sowing crops and nurturing animals to provide food and other products is known as the agriculture, or you can say the science that deals with the growth of plants and animals for human use is called the agriculture. So agriculture deals with the animals as well as the crop also. So usually you think about that the agriculture is only for the plants. No, it's not correct. It involves two things, growing crops and nurturing animals. So the two things you need to remember before writing the definition of the agriculture. Okay, it involves growing crops and nurturing animal for different purposes, not just for food. Okay, for the industries also, like if we'll talk about the cotton industry, we'll talk about the jute industry, oil industry, all industries comes from the agriculture. They are directly connected with the crop production only. Okay, they are dependent to the crop production for the raw material. If will not get the raw material, they cannot start their industry only. That is why it is very important for them. So agriculture, here we have some branches also. Okay, so soil management. What is soil management? The cultivation of the soil is known as the soil management. Then crop farming, growing and harvesting of the crops. Horticulture, growing and harvesting of fruits, vegetables, flowers and decorative plants. Horticulture, what it does, it means to cultivate ornamental plants, okay, vegetables and fruits. So animal husbandry, the breeding and raising of livestock including poultry farms. So these all are the branches which comes under the agriculture. So what is crop? Okay, so before knowing the crop, we should know the importance of the food. So why do we need food? As you knew it very well, we need food because it gives us energy, keeps us healthy and helps us to grow as well as repair and replace damaged and worn out tissues. Okay, for the repairing, for the bodybuilding and for the energy we require food, right? Alright, so how do plants and animals get their food? As you know, most of the plants make their own food through the process of what? Through the process of photosynthesis. As you know that the plants are autotrophs, so that they can make their own food, and animals feed on plants or other animals to get energy because they are the heterotrophs. They cannot make their own food. When we cultivate same kind of plant on a large scale at one place, it is known as the crop. So when I say crop of rice, it means there is only rice crop in a field. Now we have done with the two definitions, that is agriculture and crops. So let us understand the importance of the agriculture. So why agriculture is important? It is important for the food and nutritional security. It contributes nearly 16% to country's GDP, and it also does 49% of Indian population depends on agriculture for their livelihood, and it provides raw material for various industries like cotton, textile industry, jute industry, sugar industry, and many more industries are directly connected with the agriculture. So these all are the importance of the agriculture. Let us move ahead to the next topic. So the recent progress in agriculture has taught farmers to cultivate crop in a systematic way. The tasks that a farmer follows are called agricultural practices. The major steps involved in this process are preparation of soil, that is plowing and tilling, selection and sowing of seed. So before sowing the seed, we need to select the good seed, right? Then the adding manure and fertilizer, we need to put some nutrients and minerals to the soil, which will be helpful for the plants to grow. Then irrigation, which is known as the watering the plant. Then we need to do the weeding, which is the protection from the weeds and the pest. Okay. Then harvesting. After maturing the crop, we need to cut it. Okay. So that is called the harvesting. Then storage at the last and the very important process, which is storage, because after getting the grains, we need to store it. Okay. For the whole year. That is why it is very important step, right? So here we have more topics, okay, like agricultural practices we have done. There are 7 more major steps which is very important for the crop production. Now depending on the season, there are 3 major types of crop which is grown in India, or you can say 2 major crops which is grown in the India basically. So the first crop will be the Kharif, second is Rabi crop and Zaid crop. So we'll talk in detail. Kharif crop, the crops which are shown in the rainy season are called Kharif crop. The rainy season in India is generally from June month to September month. Paddy, maize, soybean, groundnut, cotton are the examples, okay, of the Kharif crops. So you can say the Kharif crop grown in the rainy season. Why? Just because they need lot of water to grow. That is why they grown during the rainy season. Now let us move to the Rabi crop. Okay, the Rabi crop which are grown in the winter season. Okay, the time period is generally from October to March. Wheat, gram, pea, mustard and linseed are the examples of the Rabi crop. So Rabi crops are the crops which are shown during the winter season, right? And the examples: wheat, mustard, linseed and many more. So beside these pulses and vegetables are grown during the summer season at many places. Okay, so let us know about the Zaid crops. So the crops grown in the summer season are called the Zaid crops. Examples are the moong, muskmelon, watermelon, cucumber, gourd and bitter gourd are the examples. Okay, so Zaid crops you can understand with this, mostly it is vegetables and fruits. In the summer season you might have seen lots of melon fruits, okay, watermelon and this gourd, cucumber, bitter gourd, muskmelons. So these all are easily available in the summer season. So they comes under the Zaid crops only. Okay. Now before proceed to the cultivation in the detail, we have understood about the agriculture, their importance, crops and its type. Okay. Till here it is clear. Okay. So it means we have done the basic terminology. So I would like to discuss the next topic, that is preparation of soil. Why do we need to loosen or turn the soil, which is called the plowing or tilling? Okay, let us discuss. Loosening the soil is important because it allows the root to go deeper into the soil and breathe easily. If we'll plow the soil, if we'll till the soil, what happen? The roots can go the deeper and can breathe easily, okay, because it allows air to reach the roots. It helps in growth of microbes and earthworm that add humus to the soil and loosen the soil further. As you know, there are lots of microbes and earthworm which lives under the soil, so that they can convert the soil into the fertile soil. Here you can see the humus word. Humus is the top layer of the soil which is very fertile. Okay, so as you have aware about it that the earthworm is called the farmer's friend. Why? Because the earthworm lives into the soil and they can convert the soil into the fertile soil, okay, by loosening. So that's why earthworms are called the farmer friend. And it also helps because the soil is the nutrient rich, so it comes to the top and can be used by the plants. If it will be under the ground, it cannot help the plant directly. So that when we plow, when we till the soil, when we lose the soil, okay, when we will plow the soil, the upper layer and the lower layer also get mixed well. So then the minerals and the nutrition comes to the top layer, okay, and it is very helpful for the growth of the plant. So what is the process of the tilling and plowing? Let us know. The process used to loosen and turn the soil is called the tilling or plowing. Okay. Labeling is done in which the big clumps of soil called crumbs are broken and labeled. So labeling the field helps in the process of sowing and irrigation. So before sowing the seed, we need to label the crop also, because we have already do the plowing. So what happened? There are a big crumbs. Okay, they comes. So we need to break these crumbs into the loosened part of the soil. So that is why we need to label it. And labeling is very important. So first things, when you plant a tree, you need to prepare a soil. You have to make sure that the soil is nice and moist, and it should be loose to absorb water easily. So this is the first step. Okay, just remember on the top of your head what, how and why. These processes are important. It will helpful in memorizing the concept, right? So the process of loosening or turning the soil is called the tilling and plowing. Clear? Okay, now we'll discuss the implements. Okay, there are a manual method as well as the machine method also to plow the field. Now let us move. Why is labeling the field important? So the labeling is typically done in mildy sloping lands where farmers use surface irrigation method, okay, such as furrows, borders, basins or floods, and ensure uniform distribution of irrigation water in the root zone of crop. It also helps in the seeding and managing the crop better. Correct? So which means that the yield and the quality of the crop is better. So we do labeling the field because we need the uniform surface, and so that we can do the irrigation properly and water, the plant can get absorb water, and it is good for the high yield and high quality of the crop, right? So there are two major steps, which is loosening of soil or turning of soil. Both of them are done is known as the tilling and plowing. So you have remember only two things. Loosening and turning up soil is called plowing. That is how the soil is prepared before you put the seed into the soil. So let us see the agricultural implements used for labeling. So traditionally farmer used ox-drawn scraper to label the land, but today laser land labelers is being used to make sure that the surface of the field is even and flat. As we have done the discussion, we need the uniform surface, we need the flat surface, right? So that is why nowadays the machine method is very popular to label the land uniformly. The laser guided labeler saves time, increase productivity and saves water, as it minimizes water logging or runoff problem. So these all are the very important machines which is very helpful for the plowing and leveling the field. So let's try to understand how the farmer do this process. Agricultural instruments used for tilling or plowing are plow, okay, it is a drag the soil, which is the very traditional method. Then hoe. Hoe, what is a hoe? It is also a very traditional method implement which is used for plowing. Then cultivator. You might have heard the name about the cultivator. It required less energy of farmer, and sometimes it done very manually, but nowadays it is done by the advanced machine, as I told you all. So these all are the implement which is used by the farmer either manually or by the machine. Okay, let's now we need to understand the second topic, seed sowing. Why the seed sowing is very important? Okay, so what is exactly means? Okay, sowing of seed. Which kind of seed should farmer use? The farmer should use good quality seeds that are clean, healthy and give high yield. Selection of right variety of seeds depend on the soil climate, irrigation method and other regional factors. So these all are the factors which is directly responsible for the good cultivation, good yielding. Okay, so before sowing the seed, we need to select the healthy quality of seed to sow in the soil so that we can get the good yield. So there are two methods, okay, to sow the seed, by the funnel method or by seed drill machine. So let us see how seed categorized as a good seed. The Ministry of Agriculture in India has set up a national label organization called National Seed Corporation. The test the quality of the seed. State Seeds Corporation and agriculture universities have also set up seed testing laboratories throughout India. These labs test seed for their purity, for their resistance to disease and pest, germination and vigor, suitability to regional climatic condition and general seed health. Okay, this question asked in the Olympiad, that is why I mentioned here Olympiad, so you can learn all the points, okay, very carefully so that you can get all the answers when it will ask in the exams or in the competition. Okay, so these all are the steps which is testing by the National Seed Corporation, which is a governing body to maintain, to get all the detailing of the seeds, right? So let us discuss more about how to separate damaged seed from the healthy seeds. So put the seed in the water. Damaged seeds are hollow and lighter and thus float on water. Good and healthy seeds sink in water and settle down. So these here you can see there are seed sowing processes going on. So one is the machine method and another is a manual method. Okay, so like this the farmer can sow the seed by the manually as well as the with the help of the machine also, which is a seed drill machine, okay, which is helpful for the sowing of the seed. What precautions should be taken while sowing seed? Yes, while sowing seed, it is essential to make sure that the seeds are healthy and of high quality. As I told you, so they are planted at correct distance from each other so that they can get proper light, water and nutrients from soil. They must be sown deep enough to protect them from animals and birds which might eat them and wind which might blow them away, but not so deep that they may not get enough air to germinate. So these all are the particular things which we need to remember before sowing the seed. Okay, so here we will do the activity. As you know, you all are the small scientists for me, you all are the junior scientists for me. So before the activity we cannot get the proper concept in science, correct? So what you need to do, take a beaker and fill half of it with the water. Put a handful of wheat seeds and stir well. Okay. So after stirring, what you need to do, wait for some time. So let us observe and get the answers. Are there seeds which float on water? Can you see there are some seeds which is floating on the water? Would those be lighter or heavier than those which sink? So you can do the activity at home and observe all the things. Okay, so why would they be lighter? Damaged seeds become hollow and are thus lighter, therefore they are float on water. So like this you can do the activity, you can get the concept and you can select the seed at your own. Okay, so that is why this is very common practices to select the healthy seed or good seed. So why it is better to sow seed uniformly? As we have done the discussion, we need the uniform surface, okay, flat surface to sow the seed. That is why we do labeling. So seed should be planted at appropriate distance to avoid overcrowding of plants. As you know that the overcrowding is not good for anyone. Okay, so like this the plant also need the proper distance to grow well. It allows plant to get proper sunlight as well as sufficient water and nutrients from the soil. Okay, why are plants kept in small bags in nurseries? Okay, If you have ever visited in the nursery, you might have seen that there are polythene bags, and in the polythene bags there are lots of seedlings are kept. So what is the reason? Okay, so the reason is this is very easy for the transplant and for the transport also, for the carrying one place to another place. So we can shift it very easily. So few plants like paddy, forest plants and flowering plants are first grown in the nursery into seedling. Seedlings are the small plant, and then transplanted to plants manually. Keeping the seedlings in the bags make it easier to transfer them to another place, as I told you all. So that is why they are kept in the polythene bags, okay, which is very easy to carry from one place to another place, and we can transplant wherever we want to plant the trees, okay. So that is why it is kept. Then the next step is adding manure and fertilizer. Why are manure and fertilizers added to the soil? Okay, any guess? Come on. Okay, let's look at the point. So when crops after crop is growing in the same field, the soil becomes poor in certain nutrients. Manure and fertilizer are added to the soil to replenish it with nutrients to ensure healthy growth of plant. That is why we need to keep adding manure and fertilizer, because what happened, like us, we need nutrients and minerals to get the good health, and plants also require the nutrients, okay, from the soil. But when we will grow again and again same crop in the same field, so what happened, they replenish the nutrients, okay. So that is why to fulfill that replenished things, we need to add the manure and fertilizer for the good health of the crops, okay. So there are two natural methods to maintain the nutrients in the soil. Let us understand. So before understanding two methods, we need to know about the biofertilizer. So these are the nitrogen fixing organisms that are widely used in organic farming and make agriculture sustainable. These includes rhizobium, azotobacter, blue-green algae and mycorrhiza, a type of fungi that increases phosphorus uptake in fruit crops like papaya and citrus fruits. So these all are the microorganism and bacteria and algae which is very helpful for the crops to provide nutrients, okay. So then we should also aware about the vermicomposting. What is a vermicomposting? It is a type of compost which is made using earthworm. As we have studied in the class 7, there are a vermicomposting process, how we can make own vermicomposting, okay. So let us move to the next topic. So the natural methods, which I told you, there are two natural methods to maintain the nutrients in the soil, is field follow and crop rotation. What is field follow? The method of leaving the field without cultivating any crops to replenish the nutrients in the soil. So we can leave the crop, leave the field, okay, for some time of period. So that is why they can maintain the soil itself, can maintain the nutrients. And another method is crop rotation. It involves growing two or more crops alternatively on the same land in the same growing season, so that the soil is not depleted of any particular of nutrients. So both, if we will grow the crop alternatively, so what happen, they will maintain that the particular nutrients in the soil. So like this we can do the we can maintain the nutrients in the soil also. So let us talk about the difference between manure and fertilizer. This is very important question which is frequently asked in the exams. So you need to understand, okay, no need to learn. If you will understand the concept, if you will understand each terminology, you will be able to write your own definition. That is very good for the science student, okay. There is no need of rote learning, correct. So let us discuss what is manure. It is a natural substances obtained by decomposition. As you know, the decomposition, the dead and decaying matter get converted into the manures, okay, by the decomposers, okay. And the fertilizer, a chemical fertilizer is a salt or an organic compound. As you know that the fertilizer it is a two type, okay. One is the chemical and another is the natural fertilizer or organic fertilizer. So here we are talking about the chemical fertilizer. So chemical fertilizer is nothing, only a salt or organic compound. A manure is not very rich in essential plant nutrient, but the fertilizer are rich in plant nutrient like nitrogen, phosphorus or potassium. Manure provide a lot of humus to the soil. Fertilizer does not provide any humus to the soil. A manure is absorbed slowly by the plants, but fertilizer they are easily absorbed by the plant. Manure they can be prepared in the fields, and fertilizer they are prepared in the factories. As I told you, they are the chemical as well as the organic, that we have done the discussion in the previous slide, okay. Biofertilizer, so we can prepare in the factories only, correct. So let us move to the next topic, that is irrigation. After preparing the soil, we have sown the seed, then we have done the manure and fertilizer, then we have done the weedicide, or we have done the weeding, then we do the irrigation. Irrigation is the is nothing, only it is the plant, watering the plants, okay. So irrigation is the artificial supply of water to farm when needed. Some of the modern irrigation method are as follow: sprinkle system and drip irrigation system. So these are the modern method. Sprinkle system, what are the sprinkle system? You would have seen in the school, garden or park, where the water comes out in the form of sprinkles, okay. So sprinkle system is very common system, okay, which provide water but it save water. That is why it is called the sprinkle system. And what is the drip irrigation system? It is a very expensive system, but it is also known as the water saving system. So what happened in the drip irrigation? The water supply through the pipeline, and the water will come out in the form of the droplet, right. So here we have the natural irrigation, which is the sources of irrigation: wells, tubules, pond, lakes, rivers, dams and canals. So these all are the natural irrigation method, and which is very common in the olden days. Traditional methods of irrigation are moat, you have heard the name, chain method, Dakley method, Rahat method. So these all are the very common practices of the irrigation which is used in the olden time. So if I will talk about the moat, what happened in the moat? The person take out water from the well and pour the water into the field. So see, in this method, this is time taking process and also the very high effort taking process. Then the chain method, if we'll talk about the chain method, where the farmer will make a chain and water falls into the ground, okay. In the Rahat method, the bullock made to rotate the lever and the bucket of water falls into the field. So you can understand that these all are the very effort taking methods and as well as the time taking also. So that we can use the modern method, and it is very less time taking method and very less effort taking, but the bad thing is it is very expensive for the farmers, okay. So now let us move ahead to our next step, that is weeding. So protection from weeds and pests, we need to do weeding. What are weeds? Weeds are unwanted plants that grow along with the crops. They compete with the crops of water, mineral and sunlight, and therefore reduce crop yield. So what is weed? Weed is just like an invader for the plants. So after growing crops, there are some unwanted plants also grown which is need to be taken up, because they will compete with the other plant for the food and for the nutrition. So we don't need that plant, that's why we need to remove them, right? We don't want invader. Okay, so plants also don't like invaders. That is why we need to weed the plants. Okay, amaranthus is a very common weed which grow with almost every crop. Weeding can be done manually using a trowel or a harrow, or by using a seed drill using certain chemicals called the weedicide. So we can do manually as well the machine also. So by uprooting them from the soil or chopping them off the ground level, okay, periodically, or by using chemical, the chemical which is called the weedicides, can be done the weeding. So if the plants are healthy, they would be able to give us good yield, so that the farmer can do itself manual as well as spraying the chemicals. So understood? Okay, now let us move to the next. Okay, here in this picture you can see the amaranthus plant, which is called the cholai plant in Hindi. Okay, and which is very common weed. Okay, and here there are a chemical spray. The man is pouring the chemical into the water and it will mix, and after mixing, so that he can spray the weedicides into the crops and get rid of the weeds. Then we'll talk about the pest. What are the pests? Insects that attack crops and damage them are called pests. Pest can be controlled by pesticide, which are poisonous chemical. Pesticide kills pests as well as their eggs and larvae, but do not affect the plants. In this picture you can see there are a bug, there are an insect which is eating the crop, and here the chemical, the farmer is spraying the chemical which is called the pesticide. So like the weedicide, pesticide is also available to kill the pest. Okay, and as well as their egg and larva also, so that we can protect our crops from the weeds, from the pest. Now let us discuss more about the harvesting. So what happened? After done all the process, we need to harvest it. What is harvesting? So cutting and gathering of the mature crop from the field is known as the harvesting, and it done by the harvester thresher machine. Okay, which is very common and very popular nowadays. Harvesting is the cutting and gathering of mature crop from the field. Then when we will do the harvesting, then after harvesting we need to do the threshing. What is threshing? Threshing is the process of removal of edible part of the grain from the scaly inedible chaff that surrounds. Then after threshing we need to do the winnowing. Okay, but before winnowing we can do one thing. We can do the manually, which is very time taking process. With the sickle we can cut the crop. Okay, and thresher machine is also, after cutting, after harvesting, we can separate the grains from the chaff. Okay, with the help of the thresher. But both we can do in one machine, which is called the combine harvester. Okay, which does both harvesting as well as the threshing. So after threshing, after harvesting, we need to do winnowing, as I told you, and it is a method of separating grain from chaff by throwing the mixture into the air. So what happened? The light parts of the crop will remove from the grains. So we need to separate by the wind winnowing, which is very common method, common practices. Here you can see the machine is doing the both thing, harvesting as well as the threshing also. It is cutting the crops from the field as well as the threshing. It is separating the grains from the chaff. Okay, and manually you can see they are harvesting them with the help of sickle. They are cutting their crops, and it is very time taking and a very high effort taking process. Then the threshing, they are putting after cutting, after harvesting the crop, they are putting their crops in the thresher to separate the grains from the chaff and inedible parts. Okay, Then they are doing the winnowing with the help of the wind. Okay, so till here you understood. Now we will talk about the storage, which is the last step and which is very important step. So why do we need to store the grains? So large scale storage of grains is done in the granaries or silos. This is a place where we can store our grains. Okay, and why we need to store? We need to protect them from the pests like rodents, microbes and insects. And increasing crop production, we need to do some things. So let us talk about it. Crop production can be increased by increasing the land under cultivation, by improvement in the method of agriculture, and by developing better varieties of crops by plant breeding. What are the hybridization? You might have heard about the word hybrid plant. Okay, this is hybrid fruit, this is hybrid vegetables. So what are the hybrids? Let us do the discussion. Hybridization is a technique used for plants breeding in which new varieties with desired characteristic of high yield and resistance to disease are developed. This is a method by which we can design our own variety of crop. Okay, so we can get the proper size whatever we want, we can get the proper color whatever we want. So we can, that is why it is we can get the desired characteristic in our crop, in our yield. So that is why hybridization is a very important and very effective technique to get good yield. So here this is the silos and granaries in this picture, and we can store our grains here to protect them from the rodent, from the microbes and the insects. Now let us do the quick recap, okay, of everything that we have done in this session. What is agriculture? There are two things you have to remember, that is taking care of animals and cultivating soil for growing plants. That is exactly the definition of the agriculture. And then the crop. What is crop? When you grow the same kind of plants in the vast field. So when I say a crop of wheat, it means, which is basically called the wheat crop. Okay, now we have done crop production process, that is preparation of soil, which comes under the loosening and turning of the soil, which is called the plowing and tilling. Then we need to sow the seed, putting seed into the soil, and before sowing the seed we need to select the good quality of seed to get high yield. Then you have done adding and manure and fertilizer. Then you have done the irrigation, watering the plants. Then you have done the weeding, which is protect the plants from the weed. Then you have done the harvesting, which is to cut the mature crop. Then you have done the storage, how we can store the grains. Okay, so that's enough for the chapter. We will cover the remaining topics in the next video. So if you have any doubt regarding this chapter, please put a comment in the comment box so that I can solve your queries. If you think this series is helpful for you to understand the topic better, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. So I will see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and thank you for watching.